welcome to the stage, Kristine D'Angelo. I was on my 7th date with this guy named Michael. And what really drew me to Michael was that he wasn't looking for anything serious, and neither was I. He was also extremely kind, hilarious, very good looking, and an incredible lover, so that didn't hurt. So on the 7th date, I decided to share something with Michael that was very personal. And I said, hey, I have something to tell you. And he was like, yeah? I said, I'm bisexual. And he was like, huh. So, would you want to have sex with other women and me? And I replied in only the way that a smart bisexual would. And I said, only if you'll have sex with other men and me. And he paused, thinking it over. And he said, you know, I'm down. I'm curious. Never done it? Let's do it. So right away, we get really excited, and we start talking about the possibilities and what are some boundaries that might come up for that. And but we also started thinking about how we were going to attract these other people to have sex with, and it was uncharted territory. So because we met on OkCupid, I suggested that we create an online profile together to attract people. And we started filling out the bio, we're getting excited, but then we realized that we didn't have any pictures as a couple. So I called up a friend, and I said, hey friend, would you want to meet us at a bar and do a little photo shoot? She said, hell yeah, when and where? So we get to the bar, we're having drinks, having a good time, she's taking photos of us. There's a few pictures of us dancing and necking and kissing. There's the obligatory arm around the shoulder. There's the arm around the neck, and then the arm around the waist. It got a little prom-y, but that's okay. So we go home that night, and we're so excited to upload these photos because then it's complete, right? And we go to bed, we wake up. We had 24 messages from people wanting to have sex with us. What? We were so excited. So we start going through all of the messages. For me, my responses were, maybe, definitely not, definitely not, definitely not. There were a few yeses, so that was promising. And for Michael, it was really like, yes, 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 hell yes, fuck yes, 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 yes. So right then I knew what I was up against, right? So we start with my yeses and work from there. And we ended up going out on a date with this girl named Champagne. Champagne was 6'2", and she wasted no time into our date raising her shirt to show us a tattoo across her belly that said, I'm fabulous. Right away, I knew this wasn't for me. I told Michael, we're out, okay. So we move on to the next. It was an adorable young man named Xander who lived on a commune, and he was a beekeeper. He was adorable, just a little too hippie for my taste, so we decided to move on to the next. And we dated a girl named Molly who worked at a mattress store in Oakland. She wanted us to go back to the mattress store after hours. So that's where she wanted us to have this threesome. And in my head, I'm thinking, this is not how I wanted that to play out. So we passed on that experience as well. And that brought us to Penny. Now, when Penny messaged us, I was attracted to her right away. She was gorgeous, bleach blonde hair, bright red lips, kind of had a punk rock / Betty Page thing going on, and I was like, hell yeah. So we start texting with Penny, and there's chemistry there. All three of us are we were sexting, let's be honest. And so we decided to set a date with Penny. And we had a few days to prepare. So we start preparing Michael's house for this threesome that's going to happen. Make sure we had candles and everything that goes along with a threesome. I don't know, but we were winging it at that point. And we were prepping, like I would bring outfits over and be like, how about this outfit? What about this bra? Should I wear this bra? What about this outfit? And for Michael, it was more like, how about this plaid shirt? What about this plaid shirt? And just to appease him, I said, definitely the first one. So, it's the day of the date. We arrive at the bar. Penny is already there. And as soon as we see her, we get excited because she looks like her profile picture. And we were so excited. If anyone has online dated, you know what I'm talking about. So we sit down with Penny, and we're having a great time. Chemistry's there in person. We're having drinks. We're having a great time. And she leans forward, and she's like, I have something to tell you guys. We're like, oh, boy. She says, I'm on my period, and I just don't feel comfortable having sex tonight. I'm really sorry. Michael and I are immediately deflated because we wanted this to happen so bad, and now it seemed like it wasn't going to. And we said, it's okay, these things happen. But we decided to keep the date going because we were all having a really good time. There might be sex in the future, you never know. So we decided to do some bar hopping. We ended up at a goth club. And for those of you who've never been to a goth club, let me just explain a little bit. I'll describe it for you. It's a little mysterious. It's dark. It's foggy. You might see a pentagram on the floor or on the walls. You might get bitten by a vampire on the dance floor. You never know. It's mysterious, right? So it was a perfect environment for us to just lose ourselves and grind on the dance floor, and we're making out and groping each other, having a great time. Good, clean fun, right? And at one point, I just get lost in the song, and I'm closing my eyes, and I'm swaying to the music, and I'm like, this is a fantastic night. And then I open my eyes. Penny and Michael are gone. And I'm like, oh, I get a pit in my stomach right away, you know. I'm like, oh, no, what are they doing? Where are they? Where did they go? And I'm looking through the haze, and I see them at the bar. And they're having a good laugh, and they're smiling. And then all of a sudden, they turn around, and they make a beeline for me. Penny comes up to me, and she says, hey, I know I said I didn't want to have sex tonight, and Michael and I have decided that tonight, it's going to be all about you and your pleasure and multiple orgasms. So in my head, I'm thinking, have I died and gone to goth heaven? And I look at Michael, and he has this shit-eating grin on his face. And he's just like raising his eyebrows at me like, yeah, is this good? Did I do good? And I look at Michael, and I said, have you called a cab yet? And he goes, yep, it's waiting outside. So we pile into the cab, and I'm sandwiched between Penny and Michael, and it's about a 20-minute ride out to Michael's house. So with all this sexual energy happening, and we know what's about to go down, it was just like, we were groped, there were hands and tongues, and like, I don't know where they were ending and beginning. And then I lock eyes with the cab driver. And he's looking at me like, yeah, you get it, girl. You get it, girl. And I'm like, oh, this is creepy, dude. Like, you're kind of killing the mood for me. And I just wanted to be like, turn your eyes back to the road, please. So we get to Michael's house, and really, we should have asked the cabbie for a tip. So we get into the house. Michael disappears. He goes into the bathroom, probably to rub one out, I don't know. But that leaves me alone with Penny in the kitchen. And like a good hostess, I said, would you like any water or wine or marijuana? Like whatever you want, we probably have it. And she just looks at me with these like hungry eyes, and she is like, I just want to take you now, I can't wait. She bends down and she arm swipes everything off of his coffee table. Shit goes flying, glass is breaking. I don't know what he had on his coffee table, but it was no longer intact. She throws me down on the coffee table, and keep in mind, this coffee table is too short for the length of my torso. So my head is hanging off the back. She has my legs hoisted up, and she's pulling my pants off. And she just starts eating my pussy like there's no tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I've only read about this in like erotica literature. Never thought it would actually happen to me. So as I'm laying there receiving pleasure, I thought, oh my God, Michael's in the fucking bathroom. And he has no idea that this is going down right now. So all of a sudden, I see him enter the room, and he has a glass of water, and he sees the scene happening in his living room, and he's slowly dropping the glass of water, and his jaw is following suit. And I see just waves of emotion go over his face. He's surprised, but then he's really excited, and then he's figuring out like how to get in there. It was almost like watching someone trying to enter a game of double dutch, right? Like, do I go now? How about now? So he slowly, he puts the glass down, and he comes over to me, and he lifts my head because he can see that it's uncomfortable. I know, right? And he bends down into my ear, and he says, "Are you okay?" I said, "Fuck yeah, I'm okay." Get in here. So he joins us, and we're making out, and there's groping happening. She's still eating my pussy. I mean, she's going to it's like the Last Supper up in there, you know what I mean? So some time goes by, and I start to get a little bit uncomfortable. I'm laying on a coffee table, and I say, hey, let's get a timeout. I'm kind of thirsty, and I'd like to change it up a bit. So I go into the kitchen. I'm getting water, and Penny comes up to me, and she says, hey, would you mind if I give Michael a blow? No, she's like, do you mind if I suck his dick? And I'm like, I had a feeling this was gonna come up, and I did agree to a threesome, and I'm pretty sure dick sucking is on the menu. So I said, you know what? Yeah, I think Michael would really like that. Please do. And so she goes over to Michael, and she kind of violently pushes him up against the wall, pulls his pants down, and just starts going to town on his dick. And I'm watching this, and I'm kind of like, am I gonna like this, or am I not gonna? This is the first time I've seen a lover receive pleasure in front of me from someone else, but I started to like it. And I was like, this is turning me on. So I grab a kitchen stool, and I sit down, and I start touching myself. And Michael and I lock eyes, and he's like, oh, this is so hot, this is really good, yeah, you're the best. And we're enjoying the moment, but then it dawns on me, tonight was supposed to be all about me and my pleasure. Right? So I give another timeout. Hey, let's move this into the bedroom and take it to another level, let's get comfortable. So somewhere between leaving the living room and entering the bedroom, we had walked through some kind of vortex in that door jamb, because this is where the story takes a turn. We're in the bedroom. Things are getting hot. Clothes are coming off. I'm writing his face. I'm writing her face. And it was like the Kama Sutra in there. And all of a sudden, Penny kind of pulls away, and she's visibly flustered. She's flushed, and she starts to sweat. And she's complaining about the temperature in the room. And she's like, I just need to take my shirt off. So she takes her shirt off, and she throws it across the room. And then we kind of picking up the energy again, right? Because it was kind of halted a little bit. And then she pulls away again. And she's like, oh man, now it's cold. Can you turn the heat on? Or I don't know, can you help me find my shirt? So the mood is completely done at this point. And we're like, okay, yeah, we'll help you find your shirt. So we're looking everywhere. We can't find this fucking shirt. I don't know where she threw it. So Michael goes over and gets one of his for her to put on. But it didn't improve. Her mood continued to kind of go down, and she started crying. And she was really upset with us. And we were like, what's going on? Talk to us. What are you feeling? What happened? And she's crying, and she's like, I just feel like you don't want me here, and I don't know why I came here, and blah. She's just really getting down on herself. And we're comforting her, and then she turns to Michael and says, I want you to fuck me in the ass. 2 things to know about Michael. He loves butt play. And Michael is a yes man. So I knew when he said what he said next, I knew he really wasn't feeling it, right? So he was like, ooh, you know, that's just something you kind of have to work up to, and I'm just not comfortable doing that for you right now. And she was like, okay. I want you to fuck me in the ass. Like, in case he didn't hear her the first time. And again, he's like, you know, I wish I could give that to you right now, but I just can't. So she turns her attention to me. And she says, will you fuck me in the ass? And I was like, ooh, yeah, you know, I just not feeling that right now either. Like, I'm really sorry. And she gets really upset still, and Michael's such a sweetheart. He lays down and he says, you know, why don't you just come lay down, put your head on my chest, and just relax. Everything's okay. So she does that. She lays down, and he's stroking her hair, and she's calming down. I'm sitting on the side of the bed against the wall trying to figure out how to get this girl out of here. But then I take a step back, I put my compassion hat on, and I'm like, oh, but look at Michael, he's so sweet. He's like comforting this stranger who was just yelling at him to fuck her in the ass, right? What a great guy. So it's in that moment that it hit me, and it hit me hard. I was falling in love with this guy. And it was really scary because we were supposed to keep this casual. Oops. So, being the person that I am, I always share my feelings. My friends can contest to that. They always know what I'm feeling and when I'm feeling it. So I decided to share with Michael that night how I felt. So fast forward a little while into the night, Penny is now gone. She has calmed down and she was fine, in case anyone was really worried about Penny. And Michael and I are left to really reflect on this night that we spent together. And both of us agreed that that was definitely something that we had expected from champagne. Yeah. But really, we were just left with the feeling of, what the fuck happened? Where did this night go so wrong? So I'll never forget that first time that I told Michael that I loved him. He paused and he said, I love you too. Now fuck me in the ass!